Okay, guys, don't get me wrong. I really do love you guys. I really do. But we have to talk about this. I have to address this.
I want some rest! Are we having fun yet?
Before we get started, I apologize if you can hear my cat. She's messing with her litter box, and I don't know why. She won't stop. Mikasa. Nope, still doing it. All right, so let's talk about this. So I did a video recently in which I talked about not only Devin Vassell, I talked about the entire team. I was talking about preseason game 3 takeaways. And I was going from player to player as I always do, and I landed on Devin Vassell, and I saw quite a few comments basically saying, "Hey, I agree with everything you said, but the Devin Vassell take is a no-go." And I also got some DMs as well. If you're wondering what I said in the video, I basically said, and I stand by this, is that Devin Vassell didn't necessarily create his own shot in this previous game. In preseason game 3, he did not create his own shot. It was basically, don't get me wrong, he was running around screens. He was doing really well as far as relocation. Everything was good there. But at the same time, he didn't, it was all set up for him. And that was kind of the similar thing last season as well. I said that Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, both of these guys, are basically role players, and that's not a bad thing. I said that they are role players, but they also can be all-stars, and some people took contention with that as well, but I stand by that. You can be a role player and also be an all-star, okay? Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. But with that being said, I am going to focus in on Devin Vassell. Before I do that, hey, if you guys want to support the channel, Clan the Merch Fan, okay, only $5 for a sticker or get a shirt for $24. I really do appreciate all the love. I really do. But the link is in the description. I just throw that out there. Okay, all right, so let's talk about this. So like I said, quite a few people took contention with what I said, that Devin Vassell wasn't necessarily creating his own shot. They were like, Clan, I don't know what you're talking about. I saw a different game. And it wasn't a bunch of people by any means, but I saw enough comments and I saw enough DMs where I think it's at least worth addressing. So I don't know what game, and we're just talking about game 3, okay? Maybe this has changed. I've seen all the Spurs, basically all the Spurs games. I might have missed a few last season, just a few. But I've seen all the Spurs games basically, and I haven't seen a situation in which Devin Vassell just completely created his own shot off the dribble. I don't see that. And in this game, I really don't know what game you guys were necessarily watching. None of his shots were space creation or him coming off the dribble and making something happen himself. Not really, okay? He is, by definition, at least thus far with the San Antonio Spurs, been a catch and shooter. He's been a 3-and-D catch and shooter. Now, here's the thing. I found this tweet, and it didn't take that much to find. Noah, he actually went out, watched the game again, and told us how many times Devin Vassell took a dribble. He took 9 dribbles on his made field goals against the Utah Jazz. 9. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, okay? I'm not looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, he's so bad. No, dude, this is perfectly fine. Like, I think of someone like Klay Thompson, who was a phenomenal 3-and-D, and he doesn't take that many dribbles, right? Like, at all. I forget. You guys can leave it in the comment. I'm not going to look it up, but because we're talking about Devin Vassell, but you can leave it in the comments how many on those like stupid amount, because he hit a record, right? Klay Thompson hit like an amazing record. I don't know if it was like 13 threes or something. It was insane. But how many dribbles did he take that game? It was like none, right? So I don't think that that's the end all be all. All I was trying to say was Devin Vassell isn't necessarily someone you'll be able to just 110% lean on as far as thinking that he's going to be like a superstar in the future. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because what I've seen from him thus far is he's not going to be able to just score off the dribble like that. You're still going to need somebody to either step up and become a star, or you're going to need a star in the future. But some people don't really see it that way. But moving on, he said those 24 points showcase his cutting. I agree. Relocation skills, ability to score off screens. And as you move on, he says, not really a player who will break guys down off the dribble, but excellent at creating space with his off-ball movement and pacing when utilizing screens. Gonna be an awesome complementary player for years, and he'll only get more effective once true primary arrives in San Antonio. And I feel as if, and he worded this really well, by the way. Shout out to Noah. I love Noah. But I feel as if this, especially when I say it sometimes, come across as an insult because I do compliment guys like Joshua Primo, right? Where I like get really excited about him. But the reason I do is because he's so good with the ball in his hands. He can create for himself off the dribble. He just can. He has that capability. He's super young and obviously, you know, a little raw, but he definitely has that ability. And once he hits that untapped potential, I'm like, he could potentially be a star. But that's what I'm looking at. Devin Vassell, to me, he did phenomenal this past game, but this is who he is. And I think that that's fine, that this is who he is. I mean, if he could do this and not take many dribbles and go 10, because he has a great shooting stroke, go 10 for 15, 3 for 5 from 3, that is fine. I don't have any problem with that. But I don't necessarily agree with a lot of Spurs fans that come out and say, oh no, he's creating and he can be like the next Kawhi Leonard. I don't see it. I don't see it. And you know, unfortunately, a lot of players, because this is how Devin Vassell operates, in my opinion, okay, from what I've seen, all right? So when I watch Devin Vassell play, and especially the first 2 preseason games, what I notice is one thing that's really good. This is a really good thing I noticed, and I'll talk about this. He's better at facilitating than I thought he was. Like, he has a really good vision, okay? So that's one really positive thing. But one thing that I noticed as well is that he's the type of player that it seems like he makes up his mind on what he's going to do before he does it, and then he just goes and do that thing regardless of what the defense gives him. And I noticed that. I noticed it, okay? But, you know, when you think of players like, I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying he has to be on this level or anything, but Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, you know, Chris Paul, like these guards, a lot of times they score based on what the defense gives them. I mean, even you know, James Harden, like these are the type of players that just score off of what you give them. Luka Doncic, all of them do. But then you look at players like, because there's 2 different players. I think of players like that, but then I think of players that can just use their brute strength to be able to just utilize their bodies and do whatever they want. And I see that in like Giannis, right? Like Giannis, don't get me wrong, he also has high basketball IQ, but he can also just utilize his body, and there's nothing you're really going to do about it. Even Kawhi Leonard had that ability, especially with us, and he can still do it, but he can just basically do whatever you want. And if we're talking about legends, I mean, come on. Duncan, you're not stopping him, okay? Now, Duncan goes off of what the defense gives him, but you're not stopping. If he wants to do a bank shot, he's just going to do it. You know, some guys just so big and so skilled so they can just do that. But I feel like Devin Vassell, he doesn't necessarily have the frame where he'll be able to just do whatever he wants, to have that mindset where it's like, I'm going to pull up and there's nothing you can do. But I don't think he's that type of player. Nor do I think that he's shown, at least in the few years that I've seen him, that he'll be able to just play off of the defenses perfectly and be crafty enough to just, you know, score however you like. Still young, still stupidly young. I understand all that. But thus far, I mean, it's been a few years. I haven't necessarily seen it. But I have seen those small instances or those plays here and there from Josh Primo. He's very good at adjusting, right? So, like, that's where I am with these players. Devin Vassell, if this is who he is, and he's going to be more of a catch and shoot, run off of screens, play good defense, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that he could be a really good Spurs player. I mean, I think about Danny Green, and Danny Green, I mean, he became a legend at one point. I know as years went on, we were like, oh, he's getting a little inconsistent, but he was a legend. 2013 Danny, oh my God, dude, he was a legend. So all I'm saying is, I know that might have like offended a few people or how I talk about some of the players, but not every player I'm going to view as a potential star. It's just, and I'm not random with it either. There's reasons why I get high on one player when I'm saying, okay, I think he can be a star. And I kind of, you know, mitigate some of my excitement for other ones. And I say, okay, I see what type of player he is and he can be useful, but I don't see what you guys are seeing. And I think the proof is in the pudding right here. So everyone that's telling me or was trying to tell me, even through DMs, that no, Clan, Devin Vassell was creating his own shot. What are you talking about? He was doing step backs, and it's still a catch and shoot if you only dribble 9 times in the entire game. I'm sorry. That's no, no. So just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like I feel like some players get praised a lot, and it's kind of that "what have you done for me lately" type mentality. Not a ton of hindsight, just like, okay, he went 10 for 15, he went 3 for 5 from 3. Dude, he could be a star. No, I don't see it that way. Okay, everything is contextual. But he did do phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, like he did really good in this game. It's just, this is what I'm seeing. And don't get me wrong, if obviously this is recorded before game 4 preseason, I'm just trying to address where I was coming from with this. If the few games come up and he just goes off the dribble and the Spurs just say, hey, we're going to give it to you, ISO play, and he starts growing into that type of player, which is possible, I'll sit back and I'll get excited. I'll be like, oh, well, I was wrong on that. But as it stands right now, I haven't seen, and this is the problem, I just haven't seen enough glimpses for me to make that assessment that he could become that or he will become that. It's just not enough glimpses. I've seen it from other players where I'm like, okay, I see these glimpses enough. And as much as I watched Devin Vassell, I have not seen it, what a lot of people are talking about. Even when we go back, and this is the last thing I'll say, even if we go back to the play-in, everyone and their mama will agree Devin Vassell was the one that showed up, right? But if you go back to that game, it was all catch and shoot shots. Like every single one of them. It was good. He was hitting some really big shots, some really nice shots, but they were catch and shoot. Nothing wrong with that. But I just think it's good to kind of just decrease our excitement just a little bit when it comes to who's going to be the next star. By far, I look at this team and there's a few guys that I see where I'm like, oh yeah, there's something there. But I don't know. Like Popovich said, we got a lot of good pieces for a potential championship team one day, but not necessarily 100% there. So anyways, that's all I had to say. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Just wanted to address it, but I'm sorry. I think this is pretty cut and dry right here. I'll give it to you guys later. Thanks for all the love. Until next time, man.